Welcome to the House of Wargaming, Wargamers. Today we're going to do something we haven't done in a while, a little bit of a hobby update here in the House of Wargaming. We've been doing so much playing of the games that we kind of got away from this. I thought I'd get caught up and show you what I've been working on, what I'm working on right now. And as you can see, I'm trying to be more inviting, and I'm welcoming you in with more of a face reveal. I was talking to my brand manager and my accountant and my therapist, and the wife said that this would be a good idea to be more welcoming to the viewers and to make the channel a little more personalized. So here we are. Don't expect me to put any of those soy faces in my thumbnails anytime soon. That ain't gonna happen. I don't often listen to my wife, particularly when it comes to the wargaming stuff, but this is a case where I gotta admit the woman has a point. And that reminds me of a question that fellow internet niche micro celebrity Von Ketteringham, fellow YouTube wargamer, asked several weeks ago now. I didn't answer, not in the comments, because there's too much opportunity for people to take a bad faith reading of your answer. He asked, what was it like when you revealed your hobby to your significant other, and what does she think of it today? And I thought, I don't remember because it wasn't a big deal, and I don't really know because it doesn't really matter. See, the thing is, as long as I'm not breaking the bank and taking too much time away from the wife, too much time from the kids, and it's not impacting the job, this is my me time, and she understands that, and she supports that in much the same way that I support her interests. She's big time into the parrots and the birds, and while I'm honestly not that into it, I'm really into her, so I'm happy to lend my support on that front. And in the same way, she's happy to lend her support on this one. Now, she ain't painting any figures for me, but she understands that this is a big part of who I am. She's known that almost since day one, because I don't hide this hobby from people. When people ask me, what do you do, when you're not at work, when you're not working for the man, I tell them, oh yeah, I'm a miniature wargamer. And they typically will say, the most common response, I think, is, oh, is that like Dungeons and Dragons? And I think, no, not the way you're thinking of it. I mean, it is. This is, if you're doing Dungeons and Dragons right, you're doing it as a miniature wargame. But not the way you're thinking of it. It's more like chess on steroids. And people go, oh yeah, that's kind of weird, but okay, that's fine. People are very non-judgmental. Well, some people, I can't speak for present company. But here's the dirty little secret about hobbies. And don't hide this, because everybody's got hobbies. And from the outside, everyone thinks your hobby is weird. And it doesn't matter what your hobby is. When people find out we've got 6 parrots in the house, the eyebrows go up a little bit. Wow, that's a lot of work. And it is, but the wife really enjoys it. And I really enjoy the wife, so it's not a sacrifice for me to support her in that. Back in the day, when I wore a younger man's gym clothes, I used to do triathlons. And let me tell you something, fellas. Triathlete enthusiasts, like their version of, let me tell you about my character is, let me tell you about my last race. The people that get really into any particular hobby all look a little weird. Don't let it stress you out. Don't hide your light, man. Don't keep it under a bushel. Let that freak flag fly, because honestly, people don't care. They forget about it 2 minutes after you walk away. With all that out of the way, so I hope that you understand, I'm not trying to be judgmental for those of you that like to crack wise about, oh, she who must be obeyed, and yeah, I try to control your house, right? You control your woman, but in a non-judgmental way. I'm saying that I'm trying to validate you guys, because I know a lot of YouTube wargame stuff is all about validating poor lifestyle choices. And honestly, with same thing, we're all doing the best we can with what we got, guys. Just keep fighting. So I want to show you what's on the table right now. This is the work in progress. I got a couple of North American cottages, right? These are 15 millimeter MDF, and they look a little something like this. And they're really good looking. I really like them. Let's take a look at how this looks in scale with kind of now Khurasan. This is a Khurasan peasant, and we'll look at them in a little more detail here in just a second. There's your scale on that one. Really nice match. The Khurasan miniature 15s are a little bit big. If we compare them to, this is an irregular miniature, they're a little bit smaller. And we'll do like a size comparison here in a minute. But it's a really lovely little model. It takes up just enough table space. And so far I've got 2. I've got one more 2-story done. They include hey, this is what it should look like when you're done, front and back, and then lovely little instructions. They make it very easy for you to put this together, and if you make a mistake or two. Now, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of how to do this style of model. Honestly, there are channels that specialize in telling you how to do MDF. They're the channels I watched before I put this together. Just go watch them. I may even put a link in the description, but no guarantees because it'll take a few days for me to edit this, and sometimes I forget. With all that said, let's go ahead and zoom in and take a look at the good stuff. All of our figures on the table today are, of course, 15 millimeter from a variety of manufacturers. I am trying to get into French and Indian War. I kind of take a very liberal use of that era. Things changed very rapidly from about 1750 up to 1812. There was a little shindig, I don't know if you've heard of it, it's called Waterloo, and over that like 60, 75 years, there were a lot of innovations, a lot of changes, but I kind of ignore most of those, and I may wind up using these light infantry in Napoleonic era as, riflemen, or just as a regular unit. We believe in proxies here in the House of Wargaming because you can't collect them all. Lord knows we're trying. Interestingly enough, I thought that all 12 of these guys, they're in the same pose, but it turns out, and if I turn them to face a little bit, they're not identical figures. They've all got different sets of satchels and packs, and I think you can see it a little bit better now that I've moved the leader out of the way. So even though I wound up with an 11 guys, I wound up with a fairly good mix. Even though they're in the same pose, they're not identical, and it does look like a proper light infantry troop. They are a little chunky, they're a little short. These are irregular miniatures, but they are table ready, and I think on the table they'll look really good. Moving right along, we also have an opposition force by way of the Native Americans. I believe these are Mohawks, but again, we're going to proxy, right? We're going to use these guys for Haudenosaunee and for who else? I don't know, Ottawa Indians and Potawatomis and all that. They come in a nice selection. You have to choose, what do you want them armed with? Do you want them bow armed? Do you want them with rifles? There's some axes. There's a guy with a war club here. Now, I did not paint these accurate to any one particular tribe, right? I got one guy with a shield. He's even got the little horsey or gazelle on the front. That wouldn't be a gazelle, would it? The leaping deer, I guess you could say. I know these are not painted entirely accurately. I did not go with the painted face. It was just a bridge too far. There's enough red, and again, painted to a table standard, it's going to be just fine. And I don't have any problem proxying these natives in for anything from Mohican to, as I said, Potawatomi or Delaware or whoever. As far as French goes for the French and Indian War, yeah, I'm probably going to wind up using some Napoleonics, but I use French for everything from French and Indian, the same figures, Napoleonic, and of course my beloved war in the Vendée, where they are used as absolutely, without question, the bad guys. Moving right along, I do have a couple little personalities. I got a couple of mountain men. This guy here, I really like the way his coonskin cap turned out. These would be appropriate for the Sneedville campaign, I like to think. And of course, this French trader. I do wish I would have painted the bandana on this guy, the little stocking hat in a blue, so that he'd stand out from the natives a little bit more. But we have a couple of trail guides. I don't remember. I think this is an Essex miniature, but you've seen that on the table before. In the background, we have a series of desert buildings. You've probably seen these already. They have seen the table. Again, MDF, and I spackled them, a little bit of spackle, gave them that sweet adobe texture. And one thing I haven't showed you in any of the battles, I don't think, there are the 4 of them, and the little crawl hole that lets you up to the top does come off for each of those. So we can take the ceilings off, and I just gave the floors a little mix of colors. You can see how well they scale with 15 millimeter figures. The little 2-story building here does not have, it has the slats in there, but it didn't come with an extra story, which is not a big deal. I'm not too concerned about it. And the 4 of them, it was like $15. These guys come from Pendraken. Look in their terrain line, you'll see them. I can't remember what they're called. They're like Force 9 or something, whatever the manufacturer is. Go to Pendraken Miniatures. Most of their stuff is 10 millimeter, but these are 15. I did glue the doors on the inside just to keep them secure and give them a little bit more support. This building, again, it's, if we look, I painted the floor in a nice, orangish color. And yeah, so I really like the way that looks. And of course, the wonderful thing about the desert terrain is it can be used for anything from fantasy to, you use the local materials for building. So I would even use these in a science fiction setting. We can use them in a North Africa. We can use them in the American West. There's just all kinds of places to use them. Probably going to wind up using them. I have some modern figures that I need to get to, sent my way by way of a viewer, and we'll get there. But just to kind of show you what these buildings look like, that was kind of a fun project. Went together real easy. And these are nice because they do come with the baseboard itself. The walls are set into the baseboard for stability. And there's something there. And then just a little bit of grass to kind of brighten up the figures a little bit. Next on the table, we have Khurasan's Peasant Militia, but we're not going to talk about those yet. We'll come back to them. Stick a pin in that. I want to talk about the Rebel Miniatures Mid-Tech Battlesuit Bastards. Ooh, Battlesuit Bastards. Great book. I highly recommend you look up the audiobook. The narrator is a particularly handsome fella, and it comes across in his performance. He does not make royalties from that. He's not telling you that because it'll make him any money. He's telling you that because he thinks you would enjoy it. So what are we looking at here? Rebel Miniatures makes these packs for, Rebel. These are Khurasan miniatures. They are in the mid-tech humanity line. And what you're looking at are a total of 4 packs. I've got 2 6-packs of just regular bros, and we'll look at those in a second. I have the leader. Here's this guy pointing with the big, heavy power fist. And then I've got a unit of heavy weapons guys. We have a guy with like a plasma. We got a guy, see the couple of canisters down there? He's obviously got a flamer. And then we've got a couple of different like heavy throwers. Maybe a grenade thrower, maybe something that throws a hail of lead. Painted them up in the classic rowboat gullyman. What is it? Rowboat girly man? Is that what they call him? Color scheme looks great. One of the things I like about these guys is they definitely are mid-tech. They have, look at this, they got a little smokestack and they got like a little furnace on the back. I love that. It's wonderful. Altogether, I spent, I think, $19 plus shipping on this. It's like $2 for this guy, $4 for these, and then like $6 for each of these packs. And let's bring those one of these guys to the fore. Some guys have painted up these leaders. This one in particular has a distinct Buzz Lightyear vibe to him. If you paint him in the classic white, green, and purple. But we have 2 squad leaders, and then we've got 2 identical squads of 5, and we'll just kind of bring those up and show you that they're just basically armed with assault rifles. So what this translates to in Xenos Rampant terms, and I'm using the kind of beta play test that I found online. It's of dubious provenance, but I think it provides a good guidance. We've got 2 units of elite foot that are heavily armored, and that's going to cost you 18 points. It's 4 points for an elite foot. The heavy armor is a bonus of 2. That gives us 18 points. We've got 6 points left over, and for that, I think what you do is you go with 1 more unit of elite foot with the leader packed in there. Our leader has 2 wounds because all these guys have 6 wounds. And essentially, for $20, you've got a full Xenos Rampant 15mm army. What a deal. Highly recommend you check out Khurasan. They have more high-tech guys. And, the other thing is, this color scheme kind of reminds me of Vault 111. For those of you, these kind of have a Fallout vibe to them. I was going to originally paint them in all blue, but I thought the helmets, I went a little heavy on the white, trying to make them look like skulls with the little, you can just see there's a couple little like breather pipes in there that really help give it that skull vibe. So they are pretty scary, pretty intimidating, even if you don't like your Marines in the ultra variety. So let's go back. We kind of skipped past this. Let's go back and take a look at our peasants real quick. I'm going to clear a little bit of space. Excuse me, mid-tech power armor guys. I'm going to slide them over here because this is 2 packs of 6. They are identical. For those of you that are familiar with the Roman Empire, we use the Vatican colors, and the shields have yellow on the one side, white on the other. Our peasants, I went with a strong white and yellow color scheme to them, but of course they are peasants, so I mixed in a bunch of random colors with the random weapons to give them that, to kind of tie the force together. And then again, just to show you how good they look, these figures here, I've got a total of 2 more figures. Now it makes sense that Mr. Pitchfork looks a lot like our heavy armored guy and our more lightly armored spearman. These 3 figures and our knight all come from Khurasan. They scale reasonably well. These two fellas on the end represent a unit of kind of mercenaries that come to us by way of Ralpartha, Europe. I believe this is one of the war bands that I believe came from the Demon World line. And I think you can agree that they scale great. They have a great aesthetic that matches really well. And don't be afraid to mix Khurasan with others of the more modern manufacturing. Maybe they're closer to 18 millimeter. I'm really not worried about it. They look great together, and even the colors look good. Now, if we look at these peasants, I think I messed one of them up. So the official Vatican flag has yellow on the left and white on the right. Well, this guy over here kind of got it backwards. He put the white on the left and the yellow. Apparently, the peasants don't know their right from the left. And I did that on this guy too at the side as well. They were just like, oh, white and yellow? Yeah, I got that. I'm good. Let's go. So obviously, whoever was responsible for uniforms in that case kind of dropped the ball a little bit. But I think I really like the white and yellow because it ties them together as a unified force. When you see them on the table, there will be no question about who they're fighting for. And if we decide to do some skirmishing where we roll them into some fantasy wargaming, they'll look really good for that as well. I think that's pretty good, man. That's a pretty good whack of work that we've done. God bless 15 millimeter miniatures. They paint up so quickly. You can get a full unit. I think these guys I painted in 2 days. And likewise with my Battlesuit Bastards, I painted the whole unit it took like 6 hours altogether. It was a weekend. And I have a full force ready to go. I'm running out of storage space is the problem I have, even with these little guys. Don't be afraid to step down. And, we'll be playing Xenos Rampant when it drops here at the end of... it's at the end of November. I think that's my Thanksgiving gift to myself in 15 millimeters. I have some vehicles. Oh, one last thing to show you. This is also by way of Khurasan. I have a little cave. I didn't have any caves at all. So this is like a bug hideout, what do you call it? A den, but it's a good size for, just kind of a general cave entrance that your adventurers squeeze in there looking for gold down in them thar hills. And I don't know, there's like $2-3. I'll probably get 2 more because I think that makes a good spawn point for your mob insectoid aliens. That's all I got for you today, guys. Thanks for coming for the ride. As always, I'm praying for you.